Bride. I got a really interesting, kind of a longer article here. Here comes the bride, another bride. Another bride. Meet the world's first married lesbian threesome. And they're expecting a baby due in July. The world's only married lesbian threesome are expecting their first child. Doll, Kitten, and Brian from Massachusetts were joined together in a marriage-style ceremony last August and are expecting a daughter in July. Kitten, 27, is pregnant after undergoing IV treatment using an anonymous sperm donor, and the trio eventually planned to have 3 children, 1 for each. Now, they actually explain a fair amount, at least give you some idea of the 3 different women in here. So let's go ahead and get into this. The plan at the moment is that Kitten will bear all the children, possibly using her wife's eggs and donated sperm. Let me stop right here for a moment. Donated sperm. I've seen several stories, and usually they're like this. A lot of times gay men are more than happy to donate sperm, okay, in support of lesbian women that want to have children. And I've seen a couple of stories in Europe, and at least one here in the United States, where they find out, because we have DNA now, and they find out who the father was. Typically what will happen is they'll get divorced, the women will get divorced, and the woman needs money, and she will go, and the guy's going to start paying child support. Because he thinks, well, I'm just going to, here's some sperm, and I'll go walk away and, support you, and then I'm out of here. And it's like, no, you're going to start paying money. For 18 years, you're going to pay money. So, yeah, so much for that. There's a whole lot of, whether you agree or disagree with any of this, there are a lot of legal implications and things in here. It's just, there's a lot of elements to this story. But they are open to other options such as adoption. Brian, 34, says, the hope is to have 3 kids all together. We always joke that children should never outnumber the parents. Why? In large families, the older children help take care of the smaller one and do housework and farm work or whatever. So I don't even remotely understand that statement. Doll, Kitten, and Brian Young married in a ceremony in August 2013, and then each of their fathers walked them down the aisle. All 3 women wore white wedding gowns and exchanged rings. The so-called throuple worked with a specialist lawyer who drew up the paperwork and drafted the ceremony, so that all 3 of them were obliged and married to each other. Okay, well, anyway, you'll see this. Brian and Kitten are legally married. So there's gay marriage, 2 women get married. Okay, nothing. Now that's old news, isn't it? It's kind of old news. It's not cutting edge anymore. But Doll is handfasted to both, so the 3 of them are equally married to each other as legally possible. So Doll is like a side lesbian woman in this situation. She's the third woman out, because legally it's really Brian and Kitten that are married to each other, and Kitten's the one that's going to have the kids. So Doll is just there to make a threesome, evidently. Okay, Doll 30 says, as far as we know, there aren't any other 3 women who are married like this, and they're not really married because more than 2 people can't get married. But it was back in 2009, and now we get some backstory. Brian first met Doll through an online dating site, so it's Brian and Doll were the first, which is kind of interesting because they're not the 2 that are actually married. Senior software designer and engineer Brian had been married twice before to women. So Brian is a 2-time loser marrying women already. Just underlining this. And both experiences had made her acknowledge that monogamous relationships weren't for her. So Brian has already swore to 2 different women that she was going to marry them, I guess be true to them or whatever. And she's just like, you know what? I need other women. Just flat out. I need other women, and that was the problem in my relationship. The problem in my relationship isn't that I wasn't committed or that I lied going into it. It's that basically I just need more women. Why are you getting married, Brian? Why are you getting married? Just have sex. Just have sex. If you need a lot of different women, just have sex with a lot of different women. Why do you have to marry everyone you have sex with? Why do you have to marry everyone you have sex with, Brian? Meanwhile, fashion designer Doll had known that she was polygamous since high school. She explains, I'd always dated girls who, although they had boyfriends or girlfriends, were also allowed to date me. She's having sex with different women. Maybe more than, she said, girls, I don't know, more polygamous, so she's having relationships and sex with a lot of different women. Are you noticing something? That both Brian and Dawn, we haven't got the kitten yet, are already showing that they're not, in my opinion, relationship people. Okay, they're really not committed, in my opinion. Okay, they've already seen they want a lot of different sex partners. Okay, how this all of a sudden gets to marriage is incredible. But anyway, I never thought that much about it, and I had never really come out as polygamous. To my friends and family, to me it was just how I was. So the coming out isn't that she's a lesbian. The coming out is that she likes to have sex with more than two women, more than one woman. That she likes to have sex with 3 or more women at the same time, including herself. I guess you could say So she wants to have sex with at least 2 other women. Why people need to know this? I mean, I guess if she wants other women to know, to get dates with them, that information needs to go out. But why that is important for everybody else to know, I'm just mystified by. Okay, she came out as having she's a lesbian that likes to have sex with more than one other woman. Okay. All right, not a shocker, I don't think so. Sorry, doll. It's not shocking anybody. Brian and Doll dated for 8 months before moving in together. Okay, fine. You know what? Okay. 2 years later, they purchased a house together. Okay. Having both enjoyed polygamous relationships before, Doll and Brian looked for a 3rd woman to join them. And once again, okay. Right? They like to have sex with other women. Okay, whatever. After a few failed liaisons, Doll and Brian created an OkCupid couples profile. Eventually, they receive a message from Kitten. Now, they're looking for other women, and, it doesn't work out, and then they find Kitten. Okay. Before meeting Doll and Brian, Kitten had been in... Okay, now we get Kitten's backstory. So, just to recap here. Brian was married to 2 women. Failed. She's a 2-time loser already, and because she needs to have sex with more than one woman. Doll has been having, side sex with all kinds of women. Okay. Whatever relationship they're in, the relationships are not important. You can see how you have women that just aren't successful in relationships and don't respect other relationships. Doll said, well, it was okay with him. Sure. I'm sure you had a permission slip from Molly. Yeah, it's fine. Let's have sex. Okay, whatever. So anyway, you can see where this is going now. Kitten had been in 2 long-term relationships with men. Now, Kitten is far away the oddball in this group right now. Having sex with men, Kitten, what are you doing? Her first relationship lasted 10 years. And she had been engaged to her 2nd boyfriend. Fashion manager, Kitten. These women have big titles. I don't know. They look like they have money, so it doesn't seem to be an issue. Kitten says, my 2nd boyfriend and I had been together for several years. So she was married for 10 years, and that ended. And then her 2nd boyfriend that she's with was several years. But months before our wedding, so she's going to get wedding, he called the whole thing off without explanation. At first I was distraught, but now I'm grateful he did. And he's probably grateful he did too, because of what you're going to say. So she was married for 10 years, okay, and that marriage failed. You can see how the relationship failures are with these women, right? Okay. And the whole breaking up forced me to rethink about who I was. And I realized that I had not been honest with myself. Okay? On reflection, I realized that I hadn't been happy in my previous monogamous relationships. On reflection. Really, Kitten? You didn't know 10 years you were married and you didn't, it just, all of a sudden later it's like, I was miserable for 10 years. What? I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Kitten. And I discovered that I was poly. Okay, so, and also that she was miserable and then going to get married. She was miserable to a guy for 10 years. They get divorced. And then she's got another guy, and they're about to get married, which I can almost guarantee she's the one forcing it. And she's like, well, I really wasn't happy anyhow. And now she's poly. Well, they're all poly now. They all have to have more than one sex partner. Okay? I set up an OkCupid. I mean, if there's a word that keeps popping up, I should be getting paid from OK Cupid for making commercials for them or something. Profile for myself and began dating an awesome woman with the happy consent of her husband. What, do you have a note? I don't think so. They also were a lovely couple, but we ended our relationship after I had to move away. Okay, they were a lovely couple. Okay, were you having... From this, it sounds like she's at least bisexual, I guess. And so is she just having side sex with the woman? Is she having sex with the couple? I'm confused by that. But anyway, soon after the amicable breakup, so she says she moved away. Okay, so I guess so. It's an amicable breakup, whatever. I came across dolls and kittens, OK Cupid profile, and saw they were looking for a third member to join their superhero group. Okay, just have sex with each other. Societies, we're at that point. Just have sex with each other. Now you're a superhero group for having sex. Okay, all right. Doll, Brian, and Kitten went for dinner at a Chinese restaurant for their first date and immediately liked each other. Okay, just have sex with each other already. Doll says there was an instant attraction with Kitten, but I think we all really bonded when we baked cookies together on our fourth date, and I don't know what love was until the three of us clicked like that. Just have sex together. But then again, there's no story. We're not hearing about you. I'm going to stop and say this. How much of this is just people getting attention? Just be honest. And they're not camera shy. Let me tell you that. With a lot of pictures here, I'm going to link the article down below. Brian adds with Doll and Kitten, things finally made sense. It was, well, first off, Kitten, at least you're bisexual. You keep having sex and either marrying or trying to marry men. So it was, all three of these people, interesting. It was as if the puzzle was finally complete with all three pieces. Within a few months, Kitten moved in with Doll and Brian, and 2 years later they decided to get married with Kitten after Kitten proposed the idea to him. So you notice, Kitten was the one in a 10-year marriage with a man, which she later says she was miserable at. She also was about to get married to a man that she's also said that she was miserable with. And now she's forcing the issue with these other two women. Right? She's the one that says she's proposing. Are you noticing the commitment woman here? This is Kitten wants everyone to commit to Kitten. Are you seeing this? She's the drive behind this whole freaking thing right here. It's all Kitten. It's all this impulse to get people to commit to her legally or whatever. Instead of just having sex. Which is, look, it is what it is, right? Kitten says that I had always wanted to get married, and I guess it's all about Kitten. And I guess Doll and Brian indulged my wishes. So you can see she is the one pushing all this. Okay. I had a very traditional upbringing, and marriage had always been an important symbol of commitment for me. So she wants people to commit to her. We wanted to celebrate. Now it's a we. Okay, hold on. Let me read this paragraph again. Kitten says, I'd always wanted to get married, and I guess, Doll, you were married. You were married and failed at it, Kitten. And you almost got another guy, and you said you were miserable with him. Is this how this is going to break down? She's going to say, I really didn't like them women. I just wanted to get married. I think that's what it is. Doll and Brian indulged her wishes. Okay, and then at the end, it's like, and I had a very traditional upbringing, whatever. Marriage always been an important symbol of commitment for me. Now it's we. We wanted to celebrate our love in a wedding like everyone else. Sure, after you pestered and did everything you could to get your way. The threesome. They keep calling it the threesome. Insisted their relationship is like that of any normal couple. Having breakfast with one another, watching TV after work, and sharing a bed together. It's not a... It's three people. How is that? How is that a couple? It's not a couple. Doll says the only difference is that communication is a lot more difficult for us than others. There are three people, so our relationship takes detailed scheduling. Everything we do goes on the calendar. Whilst communication is tricky, this to me gets pretty interesting too. Whilst communication is tricky, household chores are a lot easier with 3 people. You can slack off on your errands and another person can pick them up. Brian adds, each of us has our own allocated chores and roles. Oh, this is so good. I can't even wait to get into this. I like to think of us as a romantic committee in our relationship. I'm the traditional breadwinner. Okay, Brian makes the money. I work 40 hours a week and make the majority of the family's income. Doll does the cooking. Whoa. Doll does just the cooking? Is she? I didn't see world-class chef. How much a day does it take to cook? Okay. Really? Really, Doll? You have an interesting job. And you're the one that's the side. You're the one that started off with Brian, Doll, and then you ended up on the side. Okay. Kitten does the cleaning. So Doll and Kitten are at home while Brian's at work. Wow. Sometimes Kitten also helps me with my hair and makeup before I go to work. I would imagine she should every day. I would imagine that both Doll and Kitten should be giving you a pedicure, your hair, skin, a massage, a nice little happy ending, whatever, every freaking day, since you're the one going to work. The threesome spent several date nights planning their dream wedding, making decorations and shopping for matching traditional white gowns. But I want to say something about Brian. Brian has a history of not being true to commitment. So don't be too shocked if Brian is happy, like, okay, let me get out of the house and then we go get some strange. I'm just telling you. Kitten, Brian, and Doll had to work with the legalities of the state to get married to each other, as being married to more than one person is not currently legal. They had to combine hand fasting, I guess it's a legal term, legally binding documents, and legal marriage. A family lawyer drew up the paperwork in terms of assets and wills and legal rights to children. This is where I completely... as soon as you get children into this takes us to a whole different level. However they're committed to each other or whatever they happen or whatever, that's one thing, but creating an environment where children can grow. And I'm going to tell you something really radical, okay, Mona? I think that people should not just be allowed to have kids. I honestly think that people should have to go through strenuous examinations, mental. They should have enough income. I think that for a person to have children, they should be able to prove that they're going to be able to, and look, and nothing's going to be 100%, but I think you'd have a much higher percentage of people growing up in happy households if their parents had to prove that they were mentally, emotionally, economically, and always spiritually, whatever, stable enough to have children, as opposed to just using children as some kind of like pets or something. And we can, and that's not a good thing either. But still, anyway, and that's a radical idea I have. But anyway, to bind them together as much as they could without an actual three-way marriage. Okay. Well, Brian and Kitten are legally married. Doll, far left, is hand-fasted to both. Remember, she starts off with Brian, but she ends up on as the third wheel. Brian explains, just because we aren't the atypical configuration, I don't want to not get married. We're very traditional people, and that sense was reflected in our wedding. No, you're not traditional. Traditional wedding is between a man and a woman. You're not, get a load of this. You're 3. You're not a couple. Okay? You're 3 and you're 3 women. You're not traditional. You're just not. Just admit it. Just tell the truth. Gosh, the whole... When Doll... Just be honest. Just be honest. When Doll, Kitten, and Brian walked down the aisle, each of their fathers gave them away. This moment was especially memorable for Kitten, as her father had previously disowned her due to his disapproval of her poly lifestyle. Kitten explains, my father had stopped talking to me for a period of time after I came out as not only gay, all right, but as dating 2 women. I'm actually, I have to be perfectly honest. I would have to say that if someone comes out as gay or lesbian or whatever, that the idea that they're dating more than one person is like nothing. It's not a factor. I don't think it's a dating or having sex with multiple people is, you can approve or disapprove, but it's not cutting edge. Okay, let's just be honest about it. Marrying them, that's just a whole different ballgame. But shortly before the wedding, the bonds began mending, and he agreed to walk with me, his youngest daughter, down the aisle. It was wonderful. Are you seeing how powerful Kitten is to twist people's arms and everything to get what she wants? Nag, 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 until she gets what she wants. She nagged these other two women to get married. She nagged her father to have him walk down the aisle. Oh my gosh, you can just see Kitten just nag, nag, nag. But shortly before the wedding, the bonds began. Okay, and after saying their vows and exchanging rings, the girls had drinks at the reception. The trio did their first dance to Kitten's... Okay, the trio does their first dance to whose favorite love song? I'll Stand By You from the Pretended. Kitten's. Kitten is the driving force behind this. This is pretty incredible. It was only 3 months after their beautiful wedding day that Kitten fell pregnant, and she's going to get all the attention by being the mother. After undergoing IVF treatment, using a sperm donor, they hope to conceive using the same method with all of their future pregnancies. Kitten says, the three of us have always wanted kids. Kitten says. Kitten seems to have decided that all three of us always wanted kids. Kitten. Doll and Brian are committed to each other, and we wanted to grow our family. Kitten is just driving this whole bus, isn't she? She is definitely the bus driver of this. We decided that I would be the one. We decided, to carry the babies. I think you are the center of the entire attention spectrum here, Kitten. I am more than happy to become the full-time mom. When our daughter arrives in July, I will be the one changing the nappies and doing the feeds. The trio also planned on homeschooling their children to prevent them from getting bullied by peers for having an unconventional family. Doll, who was herself teased at school, explains who in the world was not teased at school? Okay, who just put in the comments if you were never teased in school. Nobody's going to put that down. Everyone was. Traditional school is tough enough for a normal kid, and I don't want my child to be picked on because they're raised differently. I can't stomach the idea of putting them into the crossfire like that. And this is from Doll. Brian adds, through homeschooling, I think we can also educate our kids to have some same strength that Doll, Kitten, and I have. The three of us, you want to have sex with other women. You're not a superhero, okay? I mean, the three of us, you're doing what your urges tell you to do. How's that a hero? The three of us have been brave enough to stand tall and go against the society calls normal. I hope our child will feel free to do the same if they wish. Doll, Kitten, and Brian are faithful to each other and say they don't plan on adding anyone else in their throuple. They hope to show the world that polyfidelity is an acceptable choice of love. Brian says Doll, Kitten, and I may not be the norm, but we are perfectly normal. We are simply people trying to live the life that we feel is best for us, and we deserve the right, according to others. Just have sex with each other. I mean, that's really... But I mean, this whole thing is how much of this is simply about getting attention, or Kitten evidently getting her way. Look, and Brian, she has kind of an honesty. She comes across almost as a guy, and it's just like, yeah, I need more than one woman, and now I get two women, and there I am. I go do my 40 hours and have sex with two women. So there you are. let me read some comments. The comments go all over. By the way, this is from the Daily Mail. And like I said, I'll link this article below, and you go check it out yourself if you want. You see some of the pictures and everything in it. My God, our Father, find some blessing for you. I can only say, as much as I respect you all, but what is happening in this world is pushing the needle into the red. Another comment. Marriage is a commitment between two people, not three. This is making a mockery of the whole thing. Another comment, beautiful. They're happy, their home life is stable. How do you know that? And they seem to have a lot of love to give to each other and their child. Why is anyone else's business? I really don't know. Judge your own traditional marriages, and divorce rates skyrocket in the UK and the United States. These three women have just as much chance at making it work as any of us. No, they don't. You know, like I said, you'll see, if you go and you study, look at any of the statistics on divorce rates, albeit that lesbians and gay men in different countries, you can see that the same thing is the highest divorce rates are between lesbians, and the second is between gay men, but the lesbians are very high, and then traditional couples. And traditional couples have very high divorce rates now. Okay, completing this comment here. An advantage that is one decides to leave the partner, there are still two left. What commitment do they have to the kids? Let me just throw my own thing in here. If you're not genetically responsible, the sperm donor is going to more than likely eventually get nailed, especially if there's any economic issues, having to pay child support. And also think of the psychological thing. You have a man that just doesn't care at all about his child. He doesn't care. How is that going to make the kid feel? Oh well, yeah, he gave some of his reproductive material, but he doesn't want to be around you. Doesn't care. How many of the kids are going to go, I kind of would like to meet my father? Oh well, don't worry. You got two moms. You got three moms. You got two other, but that are not genetically related to you. This is yeah. Anyway, and someone else goes, this is just so weird. And another comment here is, the number of red arrows on comments supporting the marriage scares me. People are so ignorant. Take care of your own life and don't judge others. If they are happy this way, good for them. Their option won't affect your lives, and you have no idea what they are feeling. So stop judging people. Don't come to me saying that God doesn't approve of that because it's an excuse for me. God exists, but he doesn't judge, and if you were doing any harm, that's fine as long as you don't kill, cheat, or hurt, or steal. It's our society that has standards. Everything is different and wrong, and they're scared. Open your minds, people. I bet the two women and two guys are best parents than many straight couples. Not to mention that one. So okay, just think of what you said. This is really something. So it goes, I bet two women and two guys are best parents than any straight couples. So you start off with what people typically start off with, especially in any controversial, is, well, you guys, you can't judge. And what do? You make a judgment right there. Not to mention the ones throw their own sons in the garbage. Let's be happy. Okay. Another comment. I hope they realize how stupid they look. Why are people so obsessed by marriage who are in these bizarre situations? Why not just live like you are? Everyone has a right to live how they feel, but marriage, and also live like this is how you want to bring a child to this. Do they not think of the poor children's futures in school? Obviously, they won't mind their child being bullied because he or she, and that's a sad fact. Well, it sounds like this person didn't read the full article, because they did talk about that in the ending, in all fairness. But that is, I'm going to actually end on this, because Tony T, the person who wrote this comment, that's one. Why don't they just have sex with each other? Okay, 3, 4, 20, 30, whatever. Why do they have to get married? What is the thing about everyone having to get married with 7 guys and 20 women, whatever, or the reverse? Why? Okay, and then the whole thing about children. Like I say, it's kind of ridiculous. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end that. There's a few more comments, but it's a really interesting subject. Like I say, if you want to leave comments on this story, go ahead. If I get enough comments on this, I'll make a comment review video on that. And hopefully later, once I get enough subscribers on here, we'll start doing maybe like a weekly, what I'd like to do is a weekly hangout, so we can discuss things like this live and get everybody to have a discussion on that. Well, anyway, regardless, and like I said, this isn't really a for and against thing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. All right, until next time, take care.